Chapter 7. The biggest difference between upper realm and middle realm martial artists is their internal strength. The upper realm martial artist's body is washed by the world's essence qi, and their internal strength transforms. Under normal circumstances, an upper realm martial artist's internal strength can crush a middle realm martial artist's internal strength. Simply put, even if it's just an upper realm martial artist, they can easily sweep a middle realm martial artist. In addition to internal strength, the upper realm martial artist's body also gets a certain degree of improvement. Of course, the improvement here is far less than the great accomplishment of invincible Vajra divine art. This is a grade 3 martial artist? Su Qin whispered to himself, looking excited. Su Qin can clearly feel that at this moment, he is faintly drawing the world's essence qi around him. Su Qin punched out, but what broke out was not his own strength, but the mighty world's essence qi. No wonder in the Shaolin Temple, only grade 3 martial artists can become the court head. Su Qin thought, feeling the internal strength in his body. The gap between grade 3 and grade 4 is too big. Su Qin was amazed. Because the power controlled by grade 3 martial artists is no longer their own, but the world's essence qi. Thinking of this, Su Qin finally realized the horror of the great accomplishment of invincible Vajra divine art. Invincible Vajra divine art has nothing to do with the world's essence qi. It is purely an external technique to temper the body. But to be able to strengthen the body to the point of challenging an upper realm martial artist is tantamount to fighting against the world with one's own strength. It is simply incredible. It's almost time to go back. Su Qin quickly converged his aura. With the great accomplishment of invincible Vajra divine art, as long as he doesn't actively expose his aura, even a grade 1 great grandmaster won't be able to detect any abnormalities. Su Qin's figure turned into a shadow and disappeared in a flash. If any Shaolin Temple disciple passes by here and sees this, they will be stunned, thinking that they have seen a ghost. The Shaolin Temple was simple, tranquil, and otherworldly. Just as Su Qin was about to return to the chore's yard, he saw a figure staring blankly at the back of the mountain. True nature? Su Qin recognized this genius from the Arhat Academy who had entered the Shaolin Temple at the same time as him. Why do I feel that he is a bit strange? Su Qin felt that Zhenxing had a sense of loss, as if he had received a blow. When Zhenxing saw Su Qin approaching, he immediately left. What happened? Su Qin muttered to himself. Su Qin thought so, but he had no intention of asking. He was not familiar with Zhenxing. Although both of them belonged to the Zhen generation and had entered the Shaolin Temple at the same time, they had hardly interacted with each other. As far as Zhenxing was concerned, he was a genius of the Arhat Academy and had a bright future ahead of him. But what about Su Qin? He was just a sweeping monk. Although the Shaolin Temple sought to see through the world of mortals, Zhenxing obviously had not reached this level. After returning to the chore's yard, Su Qin heard the chore's yard disciples whispering among themselves. I heard that Zhenxing of the Arhat Academy and his whole family were slaughtered by a passing evil warrior. I heard about it too. It is said that the abbot even called him over to comfort him. Comfort? His whole family is dead. What's the use of comforting him? Ah, so pitiful. I see. Su Qin thought of Zhenxing's expression and understood. The outside world is too dangerous. The Shaolin Temple is still the best. Su Qin was filled with emotion and became more determined to stay in the Shaolin Temple. Time passed. Next, Su Qin resumed sweeping the floor and signing in. Every day, he would go to the Scripture Pavilion, the Bodhi Court, and the Demon Subduing Tower. During this period, as Su Qin's strength improved greatly and entered the upper realm, he began to try the forbidden areas of the Shaolin Temple that he had never been to before. 4.5 years passed in a blink of an eye. Outside the Scripture Pavilion, Su Qin held a broom with both hands and leisurely swept the falling leaves. In the past 4.5 years, Su Qin obtained countless heaven and earth treasures and spirit pills through signing in. His strength has advanced by leaps and bounds and he has stepped into the Grade 1 Great Grandmaster realm. Grade 1 Great Grandmaster? In today's martial world, a Grade 1 Great Grandmaster is definitely a peak martial artist. If a legend does not appear, a Grade 1 Great Grandmaster is the strongest. In the world, there are only a few Grade 1 Great Grandmasters, such as the imperial teacher of the Meng Yuan Empire in the north, Daoist Zhang of Wudong true martial lineage. Although the Shaolin Temple is a great sect, in this generation, there is no Grade 1A holy monk. If it were not for the deep heritage of the Shaolin Temple, they would have long been removed from the list of great sects. From this, it can be seen how rare a Grade 1 Great Grandmaster is. Any one of them can affect the situation and suppress one side. It's been 10 years, Su Qin's figure was tall and straight, his eyes were calm. It has been 10 years since he entered the Shaolin Temple. In the past 10 years, he went from an ordinary person who was not even Grade 9 to a Grade 1 Great Grandmaster. Moreover, he is vaguely the strongest person in this generation of the Shaolin Temple. One must know that even the current Shaolin Temple's Abbot Huiwen is only Grade 2. As for the other court heads, they are only Grade 3. They can't be compared to a Grade 1 Great Grandmaster like Su Qin. Su Qin is confident that with his current strength, even if Abbot Huiwen and the other court heads were added together, they would not be able to defeat him. In the past 10 years, there have been many new faces and many geniuses. Su Qin sighed softly. The Shaolin Temple recruits a large number of disciples every year to maintain the inheritance. In the past 10 years, Su Qin has seen too much. But no matter what happens, Su Qin is still unswerving as a sweeping monk. His original intention has not changed and has never wavered. Even if the handyman court head wanted to promote him, Su Qin resolutely refused. Su Qin has long thought about it. In the entire Shaolin Temple, only the sweeping monks can freely enter and leave most places. Otherwise, if Su Qin is a disciple of the Arhat court, but runs to other places all day, wouldn't it arouse suspicion? Besides, whether it is the Arhat court or the warrior monastery, the disciples will receive the attention of the court head and even the abbot. Su Qin has too many secrets. If something is discovered, how can he explain it? Only the sweeping monk can perfectly cover up all of Su Qin's secrets. Even the abbot of the Shaolin Temple will not care too much about a sweeping monk in the temple. Just as Su Qin was quietly sweeping the floor outside the scripture pavilion. Suddenly, a violent shout resounded from the Dharma court. "Evil beast, you dare!" The next moment, Wang! Extremely rich demonic energy began to spread wildly, quickly enveloping half of the Shaolin Temple. The demonic power was vast. "Ha! Old man Huiwen, you are old, your vitality is declining. How does my Devil Buddha's palm taste?" Chapter 8. Outside the Dharma court, Abbot Huiwen's face was pale. A black palm print could be faintly seen on his lower abdomen. This palm print seemed to have penetrated deep into Abbot Huiwen's bone marrow. Strands of devil qi lingered like maggots in tarsal bones. Behind Abbot Huiwen, the court heads were staring at the young man with black eyes. "Zhenxingyu, how could you?" The Arhat court head's face was full of anger. The young man in front of him was the genius disciple of the Arhat court, Zhenxing. Just an hour ago, Zhenxing informed Abbot Huiwen and the court heads that he knew about the Devil Buddha. But at the critical moment, he sneakily attacked Abbot Huiwen and succeeded. "Stop talking." At this moment, Abbot Huiwen took a deep breath and barely suppressed his injuries. He looked at Zhenxing. "Zhenxing, you are this generation's successor of the Devil Buddha, right? 900 years ago, a certain patriarch of the Shaolin Temple who attained the Arhat Buddhahood had suppressed the Devil Buddha in the back mountain. Since then, every 100 years, a devil would break free from the seal and bewitch the disciples of the Shaolin Temple. Any disciple of the Shaolin Temple who was bewitched would consider themselves as the successor of the Devil Buddha. Their strength would be strengthened by the devil will, and they could climb to rank 2 or even rank 1 in a short time. In addition, every successor of the Devil Buddha would hate the Shaolin Temple and would aim to destroy the Shaolin Temple. In the past 900 years, the Shaolin Temple had produced 8 successors of the Devil Buddha. And Zhenxing was the 9th. In order to get rid of the first 8 successors of the Devil Buddha, the Shaolin Temple paid a heavy price. Especially in the last 100 years, the remaining 4A holy monks of the Shaolin Temple did not hesitate to use forbidden arts to kill the successor of the Devil Buddha. As a result, the 4A holy monks passed away one after another. 60 years ago, the last A holy monk passed away, and the Shaolin Temple no longer had a holy monk. Yes, I'm the successor of the Devil Buddha. Xianxia did not bother to deny it, and openly admitted his identity. The successor of the Devil Buddha. Even if they had already guessed it, the court heads' expressions when they heard these 4 words. For the Shaolin Temple, the successor of the Devil Buddha was more like a curse. Once every 100 years, it would drag down the Shaolin Temple. Otherwise, with the heritage of the Shaolin Temple as one of the major martial arts sects in the world, they would not be unable to cultivate even 1A holy monk in this generation. Xianxia, how dare you do this? The Shaolin Temple has been good to you, accepting you as a disciple and teaching you divine arts. The court head of the Arhat court stared at Xianxia, and his eyes seemed to spit fire. Xianxia had been in the Shaolin Temple for 10 years, and the court head of the Arhat court had really trained him as a nephew. He even prepared to let Xianxia take over the position of the court head of the Arhat court in the future. But he never dreamed that Xianxia dared to do such a disgraceful thing. Not bad. Xianxia heard this, and his face was full of sarcasm. My family of 18 was slaughtered, and what is the Shaolin Temple doing? Senior brother comforted me, the court head comforted me, and the abbot comforted me. But you know, what I want is not comfort at all. Every time Xianxia said a word, the surrounding devil chi soared. As a major martial arts sect in the world, the Shaolin Temple claims to be righteous and only knows how to comfort people? Xianxia's words were full of killing intent. Hypocrites, hypocrites, Shaolin Temple should be destroyed. As soon as Xianxia's voice fell, the devil chi began to shake wildly. Vaguely, a half-gold and half-black Devil Buddha's golden body appeared behind Xianxia. Comfort. The court head of the warrior monastery was furious. Then do you know that in order to avenge you, senior brother did not hesitate to violate the precepts, went down the mountain without permission, and hunted down the murderer for 3 months, and killed him in the vast sea in the west? Okay. No need to say more. The court head of the Arhat court calmed down and looked at Xianxia. The successor of the Devil Buddha is a great enemy of the Shaolin Temple. Since you are the successor of the Devil Buddha, this poor monk will personally clean up the sect. The court head of the Arhat court head's skin faintly turned golden. As one of the most knowledgeable people in the Shaolin Temple on the Oivajra unbreakable divine art, the court head of the Arhat court head was much stronger than the other court heads, even though he was still some distance away from mastering the Oivajra unbreakable divine art. Coupled with the vigorous internal force of a third-grade martial artist, from a certain point of view, the court head of the Arhat court head's strength could at least be ranked in the top 3 among the court heads. The murderer was killed? Xianxia was slightly stunned. Then, a strong black light appeared in the depths of his pupils again. So what, can my family of 18 live? Boom! The devil chi was monstrous. The court heads took action at the first moment, faintly forming a large array. Abbot Huiwen sat cross-legged, suppressing the black palm print on his lower abdomen. However, a moment later, the court heads suddenly retreated, their faces were as pale as paper, and they spat out blood on the spot. It's useless. I'm already a second-grade martial artist. You're too weak. Xianxia smiled contemptuously. Huiwen, are you still not going to take action? Xianxia's eyes turned, looking at Abbot Huiwen, and said mockingly, the power of the Devil Buddha is not so easy to recover. Besides, even if you recover, what can you do? You're a second-grade martial artist, and I'm also a second-grade martial artist. The power of the Devil Buddha naturally restrains Buddhist techniques. Even if you recover to your peak, you're still not my opponent. Xianxia's killing intent was boiling. If your Shaolin Temple has a holy monk, I'll turn around and leave without saying a word. Unfortunately, your Shaolin Temple doesn't have a holy monk. Since you don't have one, go to hell. As soon as Xianxia finished his words, the light suddenly became dim, like a ghost shrouding Abbot Huiwen and the court heads. Endless black fog surged in from all directions. Within this black fog, there was a strange power. It was as if someone was whispering, and even their consciousness could invade it. For a moment, except for Abbot Huiwen who could barely stay awake, the other court heads began to slowly sink. Abbot Huiwen's face was as pale as paper, and a faint golden light emerged from his body. He was the only one on the field who was holding on. But even so, Abbot Huiwen also felt that his strength was declining at a speed visible to the naked eye, and he would be completely defeated in a quarter of an hour at most. Once he couldn't hold on, the whole Shaolin Temple would probably be destroyed. Is the Shaolin Temple, which has been passed down for thousands of years, really going to be destroyed at this time? Abbot Huiwen's face was full of grief and despair. The Shaolin Temple was a major martial arts sect in the world that had Arhat. It had been passed down for thousands of years and had gone through countless storms. How could it be destroyed at this time? Abbot Huiwen was full of reluctance. Just as Abbot Huiwen was ready to detonate everything he had, even if he couldn't die together with his opponent, he was going to severely injure the successor of the Devil Buddha outside the Sutra Depository. Leaves kept falling. Su Qin stopped sweeping the floor, raised his right hand, and gently pinched a falling leaf. Humans are not plants. Chapter 9. In the Dharma Court, black devil qi covered the sky and the earth, crazily shrouding in all directions. All the Shaolin Temple disciples who were affected by the devil qi were confused and quickly fell into depravity. In the depths of the thick black devil qi, a faint Buddha's light burned slowly like a candle flame. The Buddha's light was misty, trying to resist the black devil qi. But it was obvious that this Buddha's light could not last long. Once the Buddha's light was extinguished, the Shaolin Temple would become a demonic realm in the human world. Huiwen, you old fool, give up. You will never know how terrifying the power of the Devil Buddha is. Xianxia said slowly. Now that the Shaolin Temple's heads had lost their ability to resist, and Abbot Huiwen could not hold on for long, Xianxia was already confident of victory. Fortunately, I led the heads and the abbot to the Dharma Court. Otherwise, once someone left, it would not be so easy to destroy the Shaolin Temple with the resources of the Shaolin Temple. Xianxia's face flashed with a hint of pride. As a major martial arts sect in the world, the Shaolin Temple had enough resources to stop him even without a holy monk. However, no matter how strong the resources were, someone had to use them. But now, all the people who could use the resources of the Shaolin Temple had been wiped out by him. Just as Xianxia was about to make a move and completely eliminate Abbot Huiwen, he seemed to feel something, and his face suddenly changed. This is... Xianxia suddenly looked up and looked in the direction of the Sutra Pavilion. In Xianxia's senses, an aura of the purest yang was like a sharp sword, easily breaking the mighty black devil qi. The endless black devil qi was condensed by the power of the Devil Buddha. Although it was illusory, even a level 2 martial artist could be trapped in it if they were not careful. But in front of this purest yang aura, the black devil qi was like a thin paper, breaking at the touch. The next moment, this aura crossed thousands of meters and arrived in front of Xianxia in an instant. Not good. Xianxia's scalp exploded, and he was about to retreat. But it was too late. The pure and positive power directly penetrated Xianxia's forehead and landed on the 1,000-year ancient clock behind him, along with a swoosh. Clang. The magnificent chime of the bell resounded. Xianxia's eyes were blank, and his body exploded. Without the source of the devil qi, the vast devil qi that enveloped half of the Shaolin Temple dissipated at a speed visible to the naked eye. Abbot Huiwen, who was about to self-destruct in an attempt to severely injure Xianxia, was stunned. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that the true nature would self-destruct in front of him. Something's not right. It's not self-detonation. Someone did it. Abbot Huiwen was indeed a veteran rank 2 martial artist. He immediately realized something. At this moment, faint devil qi condensed and formed a new, true nature. Beside it, I died. Xianxia broke out in cold sweat. If it wasn't for the death substitution technique from the Devil Buddha's inheritance, he would have been dead by now. But even so, Xianxia wasn't lucky at all. The death substitution technique was a forbidden technique, and every Devil Buddha's successor could only use it once in their lifetime. It was equivalent to having a second life. Xianxia's face was pale as he looked at the ancient clock not far away. He saw a withered yellow leaf piercing through the ancient clock. A leaf? I actually died on a fallen leaf? Xianxia's heart was in turmoil. If he had died on some divine weapon, he could accept it. But a leaf? What kind of existence could actually kill him with an ordinary leaf that couldn't be any more ordinary? Xianxia couldn't imagine. Also, Xianxia touched his forehead. Even if he survived with the death substitution technique, he could still feel a pure and positive aura between his eyebrows that was constantly melting away the devil qi in his body. Under the suppression of this pure and positive aura, Xianxia's strength was less than 10%. He might not even be able to defeat the head of the rank 3 courtyard. The Shaolin Temple is indeed unfathomable. Xianxia glanced at Abbot Huiwen, who was equally shocked, and knew that he should leave. If he didn't leave now, not only would he not be able to destroy the Shaolin Temple, but he would also die here. Thinking of this, Xianxia turned into a devil shadow and fled without hesitation. Abbot Huiwen couldn't do anything when he saw this. Xianxia's strength had been greatly damaged, but so had he. After being ambushed by Xianxia and invaded by devil qi, Abbot Huiwen's injuries were much more serious than Xianxia's. Outside the Shaolin Temple, a devil shadow was running frantically. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Just a little bit more, just a little bit more. Xianxia was mad with hatred. Devil Buddha's successors could enter rank 2 or even rank 1 in a short time under the strengthening of their devil will. But every Devil Buddha's successor's mind is completely distorted, and their lifelong goal is to destroy the Shaolin Temple. Moreover, the lifespan of the Devil Buddha's successors is very short, and they will die of old age in at most 5 years. The person who attacked me just now is at least a grade 1 Great Grandmaster. And he is an extremely powerful grade 1 Great Grandmaster. Isn't there a holy monk in the Shaolin Temple? Xianxia took a deep breath and looked back at the Shaolin Temple. That grade 1 Great Grandmaster shouldn't have chased after me, right? However, just as Xianxia heaved a sigh of relief, a calm voice rang out unhurriedly. Are you looking for me? Boom! Xianxia's hair stood on end, and he instantly looked at the source of the voice. He saw a man in a gray robe looking at him. You are. Xianxia only felt that Su Qin was somewhat familiar. Before Xianxia became a devil, although he was a genius of the Arhat court, and he also entered the Shaolin Temple at the same time as Su Qin. But Su Qin was just a sweeping monk, and he usually didn't even look at him. It's you. Xianxia's thoughts turned quickly, and he finally remembered who Su Qin was. In any case, Su Qin was a disciple of the same Qin generation as him. When they entered the Shaolin Temple together, Xianxia had a few words with Su Qin. However, after Su Qin was assigned to the handyman court and became a sweeping monk, Xianxia never contacted Su Qin again. In Xianxia's view, he and Su Qin were destined to be two kinds of people. Whether it is now or in the future, it is impossible for them to walk together. Even now, Xianxia has become the successor of the Devil Buddha, and he doesn't put Su Qin in his eyes at all. When did you get here? The more Xianxia looked at Su Qin, the more frightened he was. Although Su Qin's expression was like an ordinary person in front of him, and there was no fluctuation of internal force, the more it was like this, the more Xianxia felt that something was wrong. Who is he? The successor of the Devil Buddha. Even if he was now seriously injured, the aura he casually exuded was enough to make ordinary martial artists tremble, let alone an ordinary person like Qin. If Su Qin was really an ordinary person, his legs should be weak at this moment, right? Just as Xianxia was in a state of shock, Su Qin looked calm, and said something that made Xianxia's expression change. After taking a blow from me, you didn't die. The Devil Buddha is really not simple. Boom. Xianxia's expression froze, and his body retreated hundreds of meters, as if he was facing a great enemy, as if he was facing a life and death crisis. Chapter 10. Who am I? Su Qin looked at Xianxia and said casually, I am Zhen Guan from the handyman court. Didn't you recognize me? Impossible. Xianxia stared at Su Qin vigilantly. Zhen Guan is just a sweeping monk of the Shaolin Temple. His strength is low, but you, Xianxia really wanted to ask, what did Su Qin mean by that sentence? But a strong sense of crisis crazily urged him to ask. Otherwise, you will die. Xianxia knew that this was a warning from the demonic will in his mind. Just now, did you do it? Xianxia calmed down and couldn't help but ask. If you are referring to the leaf, it was indeed me. Su Qin admitted frankly. When these words came out, Xianxia's face was full of disbelief. You must know that someone who can kill him with a leaf is at least a grade 1 great grandmaster. And what is the concept of a grade 1 great grandmaster? Looking at the whole world, there are only a few, and all of them are peerless powerhouses. The Shaolin Temple, as a great sect, has an unfathomable foundation. If there is really a grade 1 great grandmaster in secret, although Xianxia is angry, he can accept it. But Su Qin, why is Su Qin a grade 1 great grandmaster? How old is he? How can he be a grade 1 great grandmaster? Xianxia knew that if there was no inheritance of the Devil Buddha and no demonic will to transform his body, he would be grade 7 at most. And this is based on the continuous supply of resources from the Shaolin Temple. But now, someone told him that a person about his age is already a grade 1 great grandmaster? What's more, this person was an unsightly sweeping monk. How could Xianxia accept the disparity between them? Impossible! Impossible! Xianxia muttered to himself. The demonic qi in his body was surging, and there was a tendency for it to riot. The descendant of the Devil Buddha was a quick product. It was completely transformed by the demonic will, and its control of its own power was extremely rough. At this moment, after being stimulated by the outside world, it began to backfire. Sigh, if you sneak out of the Shaolin Temple, I won't care. Be it the Devil Buddha or Gautama Buddha, what does it have to do with a sweeping monk like me? Su Qin sighed softly, and his tone gradually lowered. But why do you want to destroy the Shaolin Temple? If the Shaolin Temple is destroyed, where am I supposed to sweep? Su Qin's face was full of impatience. How could Su Qin be willing to leave when he finally found such a precious place like the Shaolin Temple? Sweep the floor? Xianxia was dumbfounded and did not react for a long time. Just now, he had thought of many things. He even wondered if Su Qin was a peerless genius secretly cultivated by the Shaolin Temple. Because they were afraid of arousing the jealousy of the outside world, they deliberately put him in the chores yard to be a sweeping monk. Although this still does not explain why Su Qin is already a grade 1 great grandmaster at such a young age. But at least this will make Xianxia feel a little better. But now, listening to Su Qin's words, it seems that he is really a sweeping monk. The reason why he attacked was because he wanted to destroy the Shaolin Temple. Why would he destroy the place where he sweeps? Xianxia felt a sweet taste in his throat and almost spat out a mouthful of blood. You dare to humiliate me like this? Xianxia's eyes were blood red, and endless demonic energy emerged again, covering all directions. The black demon qi was so dense that it was like an inescapable net, tightly imprisoning Su Qin. I don't believe it. I don't believe that you are a grade 1 great grandmaster. Behind Xianxia, a half-black and half-gold Devil Buddha golden body faintly appeared. Xianxia knew that if Su Qin was really the grade 1 great grandmaster who attacked him in the Shaolin Temple just now, even if he ran to the ends of the earth, he would still die. But if Su Qin was not the grade 1 great grandmaster, then under his angry attack, he would definitely not be spared. Boom! The terrifying demonic energy rushed towards him. In any case, you were once a disciple of the Arhat Hall. In that case, you must remember the Arhat Hall's Arhat Fist? Su Qin raised his right hand casually, his aura surged, and he danced according to the Arhat Fist. Arhat Fist? Xianxia only felt that he had heard a big joke. Arhat Fist is the most basic martial art of the Arhat Hall. Even a novice monk who has just entered the hall can perform it. But now, Su Qin gave up using the many divine arts of the Shaolin Temple, and instead used this basic martial art to deal with him? Ha! You are courting death. Xianxia's eyes burst with black light, and his demonic power continued to soar. However, the next moment, Su Qin lightly punched towards Xianxia. No one can describe the terror of this punch. This punch was like a real arhat descending, destroying the mighty demonic energy and finally landing on Xianxia's chest. Xianxia's eyes quickly dimmed, and the black light disappeared. It turns out that this is the real arhat fist. Xianxia's voice was getting lower and lower, and finally he knelt on the ground. One. A wisp of dark black smoke emerged from Xianxia's body, exposed to the sun, and quickly dissipated. This is the demonic will? Su Qin waited until the demonic will completely evaporated before he turned and left. A few hours later, Shaolin Temple. With the departure of the Devil Buddha's descendant, the demonic energy dissipated, and the court heads slowly woke up. The court heads were originally grade 3, so they naturally recovered very quickly. Abbot, what happened to that evil disciple? The Arhat court head's face was pale, and he forcibly suppressed his anger and asked. When these words came out, everyone's spirit was suddenly lifted. For 900 years, the descendants of the Devil Buddha had been ruthless and insidious, and all of them aimed to destroy the Shaolin Temple. But today, the abbot was seriously injured, and the court heads had fallen, but the Shaolin Temple was safe and sound, which made the court heads very curious. Just now, a master of our Shaolin Temple made a move and scared off the descendant of the Devil Buddha with a fallen leaf. Abbot Huiwen looked at the court heads and slowly said, "A master? A fallen leaf scared off the descendant of the Devil Buddha? How is that possible? The descendant of the Devil Buddha has reached grade 2. How could he be scared off by a fallen leaf?" The court heads were shocked and couldn't believe it. Abbot Huiwen led the court heads to the 1,000-year-old ancient bell outside the Dharma court and pointed to one of the fallen leaves that ran through the ancient bell. This is the truth. It's really a fallen leaf. Even from so far away, I can feel the aura of the fallen leaf. A holy monk, only a grade 1A holy monk can do this with a fallen leaf, right? The court heads were overjoyed. Don't be happy too early. Abbot Huiwen shook his head slightly. The descendant of the Devil Buddha has escaped. According to the experience of the descendants of the Devil Buddha, any descendant of the Devil Buddha will enter grade 2 or even grade 1 in a few years. Although the descendant of the Devil Buddha was forced to retreat now, when the other party comes to the Shaolin Temple again in the future, I am afraid that he will be a true grade 1 great grandmaster. Abbot Huiwen's words calmed the court heads down. So what if the Shaolin Temple has a grade 1A holy monk? It's not like they don't know the potential of the descendant of the Devil Buddha. When the descendant of the Devil Buddha comes, it is unknown whether the Shaolin Temple can stop him. Just as Abbot Huiwen and the court heads were discussing how to deal with the future descendant of the Devil Buddha, a disciple of the Shaolin Temple hurried over. Abbot, court heads. The Shaolin Temple disciple quickly said, outside the Shaolin Temple, junior brother Xianxia's body was found. What did you say? The descendant of the Devil Buddha is dead. Chapter 11. So, Abbot Huiwen and the court heads came to the Shaolin Temple, wanting to personally confirm whether the descendant of the Devil Buddha was really dead. It's not that Abbot Huiwen didn't believe in his disciple, but this matter was too unbelievable. The descendant of the Devil Buddha had many means and even mastered the legendary death substitution technique. Even the ancestor of the Shaolin Temple, who was suspected to be a grade 1 great grandmaster, was not able to kill the descendant of the Devil Buddha immediately. In this case, how could he possibly die? Just when Abbot Huiwen and the court heads were in doubt, they arrived outside the Shaolin Temple and saw Xianxia kneeling on the ground. Is it really that evil disciple? The Arhat court head was stunned. With the eyesight of the Arhat court head, he naturally saw that although Xianxia was kneeling there at this moment and seemed to have no injuries, in fact, his aura was completely cut off. He couldn't be more dead. Is he really dead? Abbot Huiwen finally breathed a sigh of relief, only to feel a mountain pressing down on his shoulders. If the descendant of the Devil Buddha didn't die, sooner or later, he would make a comeback. But now, since the other party is dead, the crisis of the Shaolin Temple is naturally solved. At least for the next 100 years, the Shaolin Temple can develop in peace, and there is no need to worry about the so-called descendant of the Devil Buddha. Such a strong fist intent. The pupils of the warrior monastery's head shrank sharply, feeling the aura of the descendant of the Devil Buddha, and his expression became aghast. As a martial artist in the upper realm, the warrior monastery head certainly saw the cause of death of the descendant of the Devil Buddha. One punch is fatal. What a terrifying fist technique. The disciplinary court head felt it carefully and couldn't help but exclaim. The fatal wound of the descendant of the Devil Buddha was the faint fist mark on his chest. This fist mark, with an extremely overbearing posture, destroyed the essence, energy, spirit, and internal organs of the descendant of the Devil Buddha without any suspense. This is the fist of Arhat? The head of the Arhat Academy seemed to have discovered something and looked aghast. Never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that the successor of the Devil Buddha would die at the hands of one of the most basic fist techniques of the Arhat courtyard. What? Fist of Arhat? The faces of the other court heads changed. It really is the fist of Arhat. Abbot Huiwen sighed softly and continued, "It seems that it was indeed the work of a holy monk from our temple." Abbot Huiwen had this speculation when he first heard the news of the death of the successor of the Devil Buddha. However, he wasn't sure at that time. Because in Abbot Huiwen's view, even if the Shaolin Temple really had a holy monk-level ancestor alive, he must have been close to Shoyuan and his qi and blood were declining. Repelling the successor of the Devil Buddha was already the limit. Otherwise, why didn't a holy monk kill the successor of the Devil Buddha at the first moment, but instead at the last moment? But now, Abbot Huiwen couldn't figure it out. Abbot Huiwen knew all the disciples of the same generation, and it was impossible for anyone to step into first grade. As for the ancestors, the range was very wide. Even as the abbot of the Shaolin Temple, Huiwen couldn't figure it out at the moment. Ancestors? Yes, it must be a holy monk. Otherwise, who could kill the successor of the Devil Buddha? Buddha's blessing, I didn't expect a holy monk to be in charge of the Shaolin Temple. The court heads looked excited as they discussed in low voices. At this moment, the Shaolin Temple not only came out of the shadow of the successor of the Devil Buddha, but also had a holy monk. How could the court heads not be overjoyed? If these excited court heads knew that in their eyes, the mysterious ancestor who killed the successor of the Devil Buddha and solved the problem of the Shaolin Temple was just a humble sweeping monk in the chore's yard, they would be so shocked that their eyeballs would fall out. Just when the successor of the Devil Buddha died and the devil spirit dissipated. Far away in the back mountain of the Shaolin Temple, an extremely dark devil shadow suddenly opened his eyes. Interesting. The demonic will dissipated so quickly this time? It shouldn't be. For 900 years, the foundation of the Shaolin Temple has been declining day by day, and this generation doesn't even have a first grade. The devil shadow muttered to himself. Or did some other accident happen? As the devil shadow said, he got up and wanted to leave this place. However, the next moment, layers of golden seals full of strong pressure shrouded the devil shadow in an instant. Where the golden seals touched the devil shadow, a large amount of black devil qi evaporated and disappeared quickly. Damn it. This seal again. It's been 900 years, how long are you going to suppress me? The devil shadow was burning with anger, but he slowly returned to his original place. So, I can feel that the power of the seal is declining. When it's weaker, I can break the seal. At that time, I will make the Shaolin Temple a river of blood. As soon as the devil shadow finished his words, his figure merged into the void and disappeared completely. After the matter of the successor of the Devil Buddha, many disciples of the Shaolin Temple obviously felt a sense of urgency. Even the court heads began to try to go further and enter the second grade. Of course, this did not include Su Qin. Su Qin was still sweeping slowly every day, as if everything that happened outside had nothing to do with him. On this day, the handyman court head called Su Qin over. 10 years had passed, and the handyman court head was much older, with many wrinkles on his face. On the path of martial arts, even a first-grade martial artist could not stay young forever. At most, he could only slow down the speed of aging. Zhenguan, how long have you been in the Shaolin Temple? The handyman court head put down what he was busy with and suddenly asked. How long? Su Qin paused and continued, 10 years. Yes, 10 years. The handyman court head was full of emotion. 10 years ago, I shaved your head and led you to the handyman court. 10 years have passed in a flash. Su Qin listened to the handyman court head's words and did not say anything. You have been a sweeping monk for 10 years. Do you have any resentment in your heart? The handyman court head asked. Resentment? Su Qin was slightly stunned. He could not wait to be happy. How could he have any resentment? Never. Su Qin said truthfully. Not arrogant, not impatient, not frightened by favor or disgrace. The handyman court head stared at Su Qin for a while, and finally a trace of ridicule appeared on his face. I didn't expect that among the disciples of this generation of Shaolin Temple, the one with the highest state of mind is a sweeping monk. In fact, if Su Qin was an old man in his 50s or 60s, the handyman court head would not find it strange that he could do this. But Su Qin was not. From 10 to 20 years old, the most precious 10 years of one's life were spent on sweeping the floor and doing nothing. How could anyone not be a little unwilling? What's more, in the Shaolin Temple, a great martial arts sect in the world, where divine skills and unique skills were close at hand, he could only sweep the floor. This kind of gap was enough to drive people crazy. But Su Qin did not. At least the handyman court head could not see any dissatisfaction in Su Qin. Just based on this point, Su Qin was enough to surpass the so-called geniuses of Arhat Monastery and Warrior Monastery. Even some of the court heads were not as good as Su Qin in terms of state of mind. The court head must be mistaken. I'm just a sweeping monk. I don't understand the state of mind. Chapter 12. Next, Su Qin said a few more words to the court head and then left. Before leaving, Su Qin intentionally or unintentionally reminded the court head if there was anything he wanted to do recently. Because Su Qin had already seen that the court head should be approaching the end of Shouyuan's life. In the martial Dao, the Shouyuan of a martial artist is certainly longer than an ordinary person, but as long as one has not become a legend and has not achieved Arhat Buddhahood, even a grade 1 great grandmaster can only live for 200 years at most. And this 200 years is the longest period. In fact, many grade 1 great grandmasters live far less than 200 years. Because any martial artist will more or less have some residual injuries on their body, which imperceptibly shortens Shouyuan's life. Things are still the same, but people have changed. Su Qin slowly walked on the shady path of the Shaolin Temple, his heart filled with emotion. The court head can be said to be his guide. At that time, if it were not for the court head, Su Qin would not even have been able to enter the Shaolin Temple. But now, 10 years later, the court head is about to pass away. It is said that as long as one achieves Arhat Buddhahood or steps into the legend realm, one will be young forever, and one's body will be restored to its peak, and one will live for more than 500 years. Su Qin suddenly thought of some records in the ancient books. This point has to be praised for the Shaolin Temple. As a great sect, a lot of top-secret information in Jianghu can be seen in the Shaolin Temple. Especially information about the level of Arhat. Buddhism's Arhat is equivalent to a legend in Jianghu. Any word about a martial arts legend was top secret among top secrets. 500 years of Shoyu. Su Qin was extremely envious. Although Su Qin has cultivated invincible Vajra divine art to great accomplishment and his body is always at its peak state, he is one of the few grade 1 great grandmasters who can live for 200 years. But how can a 200-year Shouyuan be compared to a 500-year Shouyuan? The latter was more than twice as much as the former. Attaining the fruit of Arhat, Su Qin's thoughts fluctuated. Ever since Su Qin entered rank 1, he could clearly feel that his cultivation speed had slowed down. Forget it. Take your time. I'm only 20 years old now. I can still live for 180 years. I don't believe that I can't grind it out. Su Qin thought silently. At this moment, Su Qin had already entered the scripture depository. System, sign in. Su Qin muttered. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully. You have received the secret art, Formless Finger of Tribulation. Formless Finger of Calamity? Su Qin was overjoyed. Among the many secret techniques of the Shaolin Temple, the Formless Finger of Disaster was one of the best techniques for killing. Once it was mastered, it could condense the formless force of disaster and kill people from a distance. 1. In an instant, a large amount of insights about the Formless Finger of Disaster poured into Su Qin's mind. The Formless Finger of Disaster wasn't the strongest technique like the Buddha's palm. With Su Qin's strength as a Grade 1 Great Grandmaster, he had already comprehended this secret technique to the great accomplishment stage after being instilled by the system. Formless and formless. Killing with the force of disaster. I wonder what kind of mentality the senior who created this secret technique had. Su Qin smiled slightly. There was a faint force of disaster lingering between his fingers. At this moment, as long as he wanted to, he could use the Formless Finger of Disaster to kill people from 1,000 meters away. Suddenly, at this moment, Su Qin's expression changed. Someone actually sneaked into the Shaolin Temple? At the same time, a black shadow quietly came outside the scripture depository. The sect master has gone berserk and is difficult to recover. It is said that the Yi Jin Jing of the Shaolin Temple is a miraculous technique in the world and can heal most injuries. As long as I steal the Yi Jin Jing, as the sect master said, I will definitely be rewarded when I return. The black shadow murmured to himself. The Shaolin Temple was a great sect in the world, but in recent decades, it had declined and attracted the attention of many forces in Jianghu, including the demon sect behind the Black Shadow. This time, the demon sect's sect master asked the Black Shadow to come. In addition to wanting to get the Yi Jin Jing to heal his injuries, he also wanted to test the Shaolin Temple. Moreover, in addition to the Yi Jin Jing, the 72 secret techniques of the Shaolin Temple are famous in Jianghu. If I can get a few of them, won't I have hope of going further? A trace of greed flashed in the Black Shadow's eyes. In martial arts cultivation, in addition to having enough talent, it also requires enough opportunities in the outside world. In the Black Shadow's view, the scripture depository in front of him at this moment was his great opportunity. Just as the Black Shadow was about to explore the scripture depository, then he saw a sweeping monk in a gray robe slowly walking out. A sweeping monk? Unlucky, he actually came out at this time. The Black Shadow frowned and could only endure secretly. He wanted to wait until the sweeping monk left before sneaking into the scripture depository. The Black Shadow's secret art was special. When it was fully operated, it was almost integrated with the shadow. Even if it was a martial artist in the upper realm, they would ignore it if they were not careful. This was also the reason why the demon sect's sect master sent the Black Shadow. In terms of hiding methods, the Black Shadow was almost one of the top few under the upper realm. However, the Black Shadow waited for half an hour, but found that the sweeping monk not only did not leave, but also swept the floor nearby. Moreover, the Black Shadow didn't know if it was an illusion or not, but he always felt that the sweeping monk was intentionally or unintentionally avoiding him during the sweeping process. This sweeping monk, did he find me? The Black Shadow was bewildered, and a faint killing intent rose in his heart. If it was as he thought, this sweeping monk couldn't be let go. If the other party left and attracted the attention of the abbot of the Shaolin Temple, wouldn't it ruin his plan to steal the Yi Jin Jing? Thinking of this, the Black Shadow decided to go all out. He was ready to kill the sweeping monk first, and then enter the scripture depository, only to hear a sigh in his ear. This is an important place of the Shaolin Temple. Your Excellency has violated the commandments by sneaking in without permission. Who's talking? The Black Shadow only felt a buzzing sound in his ears, and directly fell out of the stealth state with a look of horror. He didn't think that someone could force him out with just a voice. What kind of strength is this? Grade 3? Grade 2? Or even, the Black Shadow didn't dare to continue thinking. However, what made the Black Shadow even more incredible was that at this moment, The sweeping monk in a gray robe not far away slowly raised his head, and his eyes fell on him. "It's you?" At this moment, the Black Shadow's expression changed, and he stared straight at the sweeping monk. In the Black Shadow's perception, the sweeping monk in front of him was ordinary, without any fluctuations of internal strength. From beginning to end, he was just an ordinary person. If it was before, the Black Shadow might really think that the other party was an ordinary person. But now, the Black Shadow didn't even have this thought. Could an ordinary person see through his stealth? Could an ordinary person force him to show up with just a few words? The Black Shadow's scalp went numb, and he was so scared that he almost fled on the spot. Su Qin was a little helpless. If the Black Shadow directly entered the scripture depository, Su Qin would definitely pretend that he didn't see it. As long as the other party didn't destroy the scripture depository, Su Qin couldn't be bothered to interfere. Welcome to Legends of Cultivation audiobooks, where we bring ancient fantasy to life through storytelling. Follow the rise of heroes who defy fate, unlock mystical powers, and battle across celestial realms. Our audiobooks are crafted for fans of Chinese cultivation novels, filled with battles, breakthroughs, and legendary artifacts. Subscribe and be part of an unforgettable journey into the realm of immortality.